Back, everyone. It's time now for our special message, and would you welcome Rev Phyllis Grace from Adelaide. Thank you, Phyllis. Welcome.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you for a beautiful meditation. And good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. It seems like yonks since I've been with you people in Melbourne, and it's always lovely to come back and visit with you. My message today is called The Light of Power. What do I mean by that? For me, to have the light of power means to have a deeper understanding of this power we call power, or as I prefer to say, the power of dominion, and how to use that productively. With dominion, we certainly have power, mastery, and authority. With the light of understanding, we know the difference between using that power or authority to dominate and control others, which can be seen as bullying, or to demonstrate self-mastery and self-control and show respect for ourselves and others. I was raised in a traditional Christian family whose religious beliefs were based on a literal understanding of the Bible. And even as a youngster, I found myself asking questions internally of these beliefs. And I say internally because it certainly was not encouraged to ask questions. I was told only to believe what I was told to believe. But that didn't sit well with me, even as a child. When I found myself in a unity group to watch the videos of John Bradshaw over in Perth, I asked what unity was and was told what unity teaches and heard all about the teachings. And I knew at once that this was the place for me. Many of the questions I had as a child were now given answers that resonated with me. I wonder how many of you can relate to that as well. What has this got to do with the light of power, you may be asking? Well, to me, I like the fact that unity uses the Bible teachings, but does not look at them literally. The understanding that most of the writings are metaphoric makes sense to me. That takes me back to the Bible, which although I don't have a really in-depth knowledge of, I do like the fact that in unity, we still refer to it in a very different way. So when we read the verse 26 of chapter 1 in Genesis, it tells us, "Then God said, let us make humankind in our image according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the air and over the cattle and over all the wild animals of the earth and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth." End of quote. This, you know, is part of the creation story of Genesis chapter 1. And in his book, The Creative Process, Eric Butterworth wrote, "The creation story is not something God does or did. It is what God is. It is the process from the principle acting on itself. Creativity is the God process in you, expressing as you. The creation is your story, the key to your creative genius." I like that idea, that we all have a creative genius within us. So what is this dominion mentioned that man has been given? Does it mean humans can dominate and control all the wild animals on the earth? Well, if we read that passage literally, we would probably say yes. But as truth students, we know that Genesis is an allegory, which is not a literal explanation of the creation story, but rather it is to be understood metaphysically. For each of us to create a life that has meaning, joy, health, happiness, and abundance, we have an innate ability to do just that through the use of our divinity and innate powers, which are expressed through our humanity. Remember, we are fully human and fully divine. I loved it when I first heard that. And so I keep reminding myself that I am fully human and I am fully divine. So let's have a quick look at the Bible passage that I referred to earlier to get a better metaphysical understanding of its underlying meaning with the help of Mr. Fillmore and his interpretation. In his book, Talks on Truth, Charles Fillmore wrote, and I quote, "The beasts of the fields are the ideas in being pertaining to organized life, and the birds of the heavens are ideas of spiritual life." Now, I understand this, and this is my understanding, so you can make of it whatever you want, but my understanding is that this means that the beasts represent ideas based on our human senses or existence, and the birds are ideas that are spiritually inspired. Our lives express our level of consciousness. And so if our life experiences leave a lot to be desired, then we are missing the mark. And we have some work to do on raising our consciousness to a higher level of awareness and align with the kind of life that we desire. And I think the awareness we really need is that we are fully divine. And we need to be able to express that through our humanity. Again, Charles Fillmore explains in the 12 Powers of Man, and I quote, "The mind and the body of man have the power to transforming energy from one plane of consciousness to another. This," he says, "is the power of dominion implanted in man from the beginning." End of quote. So if we are living from a consciousness of our sense nature, we can transform that awareness to a spiritual awareness by changing our thinking and feelings about life, the situations we find ourselves in, relationships, the work we do, and our sense of prosperity. We have the ability to do this moment by moment when we make a conscious decision to do so. In her book, Divine Audacity, which is a new one to me, and I'm really enjoying reading it, Linda Martella Whitsett writes that through right use of our faculty of power, we have the ability for self-mastery and authority over our lives. She writes, and again I quote, "Self-mastery is a key to power. It is our capacity to guide our thoughts, words, and actions in integrity of our infinite self, instead of reacting from only human or eoic impulses." End of quote. In other words, we know ourselves. We respect ourselves and we respect others. We tell ourselves the truth and endeavour to understand the beliefs and attitudes underlying our impulsive emotions. If we don't do that, we cannot change misguided beliefs and attitudes to lift our consciousness nearer to Christ consciousness. This reminds me of the saying by Socrates, "To know thyself is the beginning of wisdom." Our power of dominion does need to be accompanied by the power of wisdom, love, and strength. In fact, all of the 12 powers that we have been looking at this year have greater power when one, two, or more powers are working in partnership. We may have in the past said to ourselves or others, you need to claim your power back. Or we may have said, you have given your power away. Or we may even say of ourselves, I gave my power away. Well, I don't believe we ever do that, really. It may seem like we have done just that, but in truth, we can never lose the power of power or dominion. It, like the other 11, are innate. They are within us constantly, ever at our beck and call to use in appropriate ways. What we may do is take on board the negative thoughts and feelings of another about ourselves and accept them as our own. This is an important area where we can engage our power of dominion and give no power to the negative thoughts and feelings that others or even ourselves have expressed. In other words, deny those thoughts and feelings and then offer up an affirmation to support the thoughts and feelings that we wish to experience. The power of dominion is very important if we want to realize a dream and see it become a reality in our lives. As we have heard, self-mastery is a key to power, which is an important factor when we want to develop a long-held desire or dream. I know for myself that when a desire is recognized, I can easily go into, oh, I can't do that, or I don't have the ability or education to do that. These are ways we use our power of dominion in negative or non-productive ways. I have recently reacquainted myself with Mary Mannon Morrissey's book, Building Your Field of Dreams, in which she suggests that when negative thoughts about ourselves and our ability arise, we simply say, up until now. This is a form of denial. It is telling our subconscious mind that we are wanting to replace those negative life-diminishing thoughts with something new. Of course, we know that after a denial, and as I suggested before, we are wise to mentally or verbally say an affirmation and to repeat that affirmation several times to build a new consciousness of that which we desire. So a good self-knowledge and self-awareness is important to recognize when we allow our thoughts and feelings to focus on the negative ideas that do not support our life or the life of our dream or desire. Of course, there are other ways we can develop our power of dominion. So let's look at some. In the book, Power Up Your Life, it is suggested to be positive, passionate, and proactive. Let's look at positive. To be diligent to ensure your words and thoughts are positive, which means that we focus on what is going right. To look for solutions rather than dwelling on the problem. And see the divinity in others. Being passionate, well, let's put energy into our words with authority and boldness. Pardon me. Passion puts feeling behind the words, which is an essential element to bringing into manifestation your desires. You need passion behind your feelings. To be proactive simply means to focus on ways to move forward and anticipate success as you claim your goals. Remember, you have the ability to create the appearance of monsters or miracles. I know which I would rather. On Thursday, as I was adding to this talk for today, I decided it was time for a coffee. And just as I was enjoying that, I happened to hear on my radio, tuned to ABC Classics, one of the weekend presenters, Ed, who came into the studio to have a chat with the morning presenter on Thursday, with Damien. I stopped and listened to the conversation, and it was a beautiful illustration of putting the power of dominion into practice to fulfill a dream. Ed, a viola player, and quite a successful one, I believe, had the desire to play a French horn, very different kind of instrument to what he's used to playing. And last year, around the middle of the year, decided to start having lessons. After less than a year, Ed, now in his 50s, has just done his 4th grade exam on the French horn and got an A+. The presenters also mentioned a 99-year-old mathematician who gained a PhD just before his 100th birthday. So why have I mentioned these stories? Well, to me, they simply illustrate it is never too late to realise a dream, as long as we use that power of dominion to let go of all those negative thoughts, particularly about the one, oh, I'm too old to do that, and focus on the steps we must take in order to bring that dream into manifestation. The power of dominion can also help us stay focused on the activity at hand. A conscious decision to use our spiritual identity, which is our authentic self, to build our power of dominion will give us the power to access divine ideas and bring them into manifestation in our lives. And that way we can create the best, most proficient person that we can be. We always have the ability to choose the life that we want, and we have the power to create that when we put into practice our understanding of the 12 powers, which of course includes the power of dominion. In conclusion, let me share what I think is a profound gift that is in the book, Power Up Your Life. And it is a way that we can really claim our power back. It suggests that we forget the saying, it is what it is, and replace it with, it is what I make it. Now, I just love that, and that's what I'm going to focus on. It is what I make it. I have dominion to make whatever situation is, however I choose to see it. So let us all use our understanding of power, of dominion, and put the light of power into our lives. God bless you all.
Wow, I don't think I can sit down. It is what I make it. Isn't that fantastic? Thank you for that. And it was so good to hear some of the stories there. Classic FM, of course. I think some of us listened to that during the week. It's all very inspiring. And I just know that it's never too late. I find that quite a special message for me there as I navigate my 70s. And I saw Reverend Sylvia there sort of waving. It's never too late. And our light is shining. And so while it's shining, let's all sing together.